Welcome. Please subscribe, thumb up the video, share it to your social media. This is a fan theory for the show called From. It is on MGM+. It is a fan theory that contains spoilers. Viewer discretion is advised. I know you all have seen this trailer a million times. I have a new theory. Previously, I said that the person in the cart in the wheelbarrow was Fatima. It's possible it could be Fatima. It makes sense as far as plot-wise. But one thing that a lot of people, including myself, have kind of ignored, unless somebody made a video, I don't know about it, is when it first opens up, we see Boyd walking with Jade. Normally, Boyd does this task alone. This is the first time we see Boyd carrying one of the bodies, presumably has been unalived during the night. It's the first time he's carrying it with someone, and who he's carrying it with is Jade. It's almost like they're carrying this body like it's part of a funeral. But normally this is like in the morning when they find the body, Boyd puts it in there, he covers it up. But I think the reason why this time is different, not just because it's season 3 or because it's cold outside, but I believe that out of all the characters in the show, that the reason why he has Jade with him is because it's someone who's important to Jade. In the series, Jade's best friend was unalived or taken out in the very beginning. We know that Sarah is the one that took him out. That was the end of Jade's best friend. Sarah was told to make it look like the creatures did this to him, even though she did it herself, which is very odd. That may be a future theory as to why she had to make it look like the creatures did it, as opposed to leaving the door open like she did with Kenny's dad. Jade's best friend, who was Toby McRae, he was in the vehicle with Jade, and Ethan was in the vehicle with the Matthews. So if Sarah would have taken out Toby and would have taken out Ethan, that may have been a part of some type of ritual that is needed for them to go home. Just seems kind of odd that Kenny's dad was able to be taken out by the creatures, but one person from each vehicle had to be taken out by a person, as if it's part of some type of ritual or sacrifice in order to open up the portal to have everybody go home. And I do believe that if Sarah would have taken out Ethan, I think they would have been able to go home, similar to what Victor walked out of the cellar and saw when he first met the boy in white. Jade is carrying the wheelbarrow with Boyd, and I think the reason why Jade is doing this is because the person in the wheelbarrow is important to Jade. And besides Jade's friend or best friend, Toby McRae, the only person that Jade has somewhat had some of a closeness with is Chen. Chen makes the most sense to be in the wheelbarrow for Jade to be wanting to carry it as well, because normally Jade doesn't really want to be involved with stuff outside of looking for symbols, getting high, drinking, being obnoxious, being insufferable. But in this situation, it does seem like Jade cares. And I think Jade cares because throughout the series, we've seen him become somewhat close to Chen. When Chen Lu, that's Kenny's mother, when she was mourning her husband, Jade knelt beside her and started mourning his friend along with her, and they kind of have become close. And also Chen was the one who gave Jade the idea to use the electricity from the house to power the radio. They've developed a bond, especially since he's been eating her cooking, living with her, and I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of looks at her as being somewhat of a mother figure. Even though we don't know this for sure, I've got the idea that Jade may have grown up where he's a genius, but a lot of people didn't understand him, and maybe his mother was someone who did understand him, and maybe Chen reminds him of his mother. And I think that's the reason why he's helping Boyd carry the wheelbarrow. He has the expression on his face that he's stern, that he's being tough, head held high, and he's serious, as opposed to being somewhat of obnoxious like he normally is, because this means a lot to him. And I think this is a moment where Boyd and Jade agree to go to war. So in the past, whenever someone became unalived, it was somebody who was new, like when they just came off the bus, or Frank, who did something stupid. Boyd had to make the tough decision to put Frank in the box. Boyd didn't really want to put Frank in the box. I think this moment right now, they're prepared to go to war and do whatever it takes, because it was Tian Chen Lu, who was tortured at the end of the teaser, and it wasn't just any old person.
You said this place couldn't break you. That's what she said.
All right, so the she. I believe that the she, not talking about she that was screaming in the trailer when I said it was Fatima maybe being tied down or giving birth. So another theory to go along with that, not saying that I was wrong previously, I still think I'm right about that, but I think another theory or another way to look at it is that the person who is, I guess, tied down or restrained, maybe even being tortured, is Kenny's mother. And I think the she that the cowboy creature is referring to is Abby. So the same way that Abby was able to talk to Boyd, I think Abby was also talking to the creatures and they started talking back to her. The music box, I believe, allowed entities such as Abby, who have been deceased and are walking around from invisible because they're ghosts or whatever, or even other creatures or other type of entities, both good and bad. I think the music box allowed the humans, where we all exist in fourth dimension, we're able to communicate with beings in a fifth dimension and higher, and they're also able to communicate with the creatures. That's how Abby was able to talk to Martin. I believe Abby is the one that threw the rope down to Boyd. I believe also that is how Abby knew that in the forest there were creatures worse than the creatures. I also think that's how Abby knew that by destroying the music box it was going to be negative, and that destroying the music box was going to only delay the inevitable of people suffering. I think Abby and other people have been able to talk to Sarah when she hears the voices. It's just that the music box allows there to be more of a visual and audio way of communicating with us as fourth dimensional beings. And Boyd destroying the music box freed the three people who were confined and suffering, but it hindered the ability for people like Abby who want to help everyone to be able to communicate. I think season 3 on out is going to be more focused on sacrificing people and doing what's in the best interest of leaving, as opposed to saving people here and there, which may give the humans a disadvantage by helping those who were in a troubled state. Looking at it from the point of view of the girl who had the rod in her head and she was up against the tree, instead of ending her life and stopping her suffering, the characters could have been, instead of trying to comfort her and eventually ending her life, they could have been picking her brain the best they could to find out more about the creatures, but they chose to try to save her or comfort her. They missed out on that opportunity, and that was something that they could have used to learn more information about what they're dealing with. The she that's talking to the cowboy, I believe that she was Abby. This is our first time seeing the creatures actually physically touch someone or get close to them without turning into creatures and taking them out. The reason this is because the creatures have become more intelligent. When the smiley creature was eliminated from Boyd slicing smiley creature's neck and putting his hand on the creature and giving the smiley creature the worms, those worms consumed the bile inside the creature and they transformed into cicadas. The bile inside the smiley creature is what had the worms transform into the cicadas. So that bile they took from the smiley creature, put it onto rounds, put it inside of a firearm, shot the creatures with it, had no effect. I think the effect that it actually had was it caused the creatures to evolve to where now they're not just maniacs that just when they get close to you, they delete you or they eliminate you. Now they're more thinking and strategic, and they want people to suffer because they thrive off of suffering. That's why we see the creatures, they pick Boyd up and put him on a pillar. They actually restrain him and tie him up to make him suffer. They've gotten more patient with trying to break someone because I think they get off on hurting people. It's not about just stalking people anymore or going to windows and taunting them and trying to convince them to open doors. Now they are doing things more strategic. They've gotten more advanced from the firearms that had the bile that came from the smiley monster that has somewhat upgraded them. And I do believe that the person in this clip that's screaming is Tian Chen Lu. Just because of the previous part of the teaser trailer, it would make more sense as to why Jade is there helping Boyd to carry the body as opposed to Boyd doing it by himself. And in this shot, he has on the same shirt. There's no blood. And now he has on the same shirt with blood, which suggests that this scene is taking place after the barn scene, and it would make more sense. The way the story could play out is Tian Chen became so sad that she no longer wanted to live. She decided to confront the creatures because of feeling grief about her husband, and the creatures got her. And that's the scene we see at the end of the trailer. Now, for those of you all who are Team Sarah, who believe that it's Sarah in the barn, I have a third theory as to how that's possible. Kenny found out that Sarah's the one who caused his father to pass away at the hands of the creatures. He was no longer rocking with Boyd, no longer wanted to be law enforcement. He was just doing his own thing with a firearm. Kenny, who may have saw Sarah go to the barn because she was mourning her brother Nathan, Kenny could have locked her into the closet, the same closet that Sarah locked Tabitha in, and walked off and left. Boyd found out that Sarah's in the barn. Boyd went out there to rescue Sarah, and then that's the scene that we see in the barn. That does make a lot of sense. It could even be argued that that makes more sense than Kenny's mother being in the barn. But the reason why I don't think the writers would take out Sarah is because Sarah has a unique gift of being able to talk to voices. Whereas Fatima has the baby. The baby would be a good storyline for Fromville. And all the other characters, including Tabitha, they have something interesting to add to the story. So getting rid of Sarah would be a unique thing narratively, because it seems like Sarah's just hanging around and people hate her and she doesn't really have much to do if no one wants to listen to her and no one wants to work with her, which of course they would not, because she tried to take out a child. However, taking out Sarah would remove a piece from the chessboard to allow for exposition as far as writing, so she can talk to the voices. And to me, I think the only person who would have a significant impact on the characters and even the viewer would be Tian Chen Lu. The story wouldn't really fall flat or wouldn't really lose pacing with her being gone, because they're having a shortage of food anyway. She's going to run out of food to cook. So her cooking skills won't really be that important, as the town is going to, with Tian Chen Lu missing, go into a situation where they're going to have to eat something, and someone's going to suggest they start eating each other. What do you think? Thanks for watching. I really appreciate the support. Let me know in the comment section your thoughts. Thumbs up the video, share to social media, subscribe, click the notification bell, thumb up the video, share everywhere. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Go forth, do great things, and I'm out. Peace.
The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera.